Okay, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. Today is the 22nd of November. It's 10 o'clock in the morning here, a little bit after 69 degrees. High will be 78, 59 the low. Okay, that's the beginning of our winters. All right. I'm going to jump into the live stream while we're waiting for people to come in and make sure everything's working, and then put up a couple of posts. Okay, sound and pictures on. And I'm going to do a few fast posts while people come in. And I'll put my email address up. Almost done. Okay, got that done. And being a Bible-believing site, Old and New Testament, I'm going to do some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 All right, what we're going to cover today is what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, and how does that fit into Bible prophecy, and where's this headed, and what's going on. And these are the kind of things that make me unpopular with a lot of people, because I reveal what the Bible says by actually reading the scriptures, and it's amazing how people just run away from that. It's amazing. And these are people that are probably churched. All right, so we'll just jump in and get started, okay? So Russia, as some of you know, launched what most are calling an ICBM at Russia on a pro area. Russia launched into the Ukraine on a pro area what they're calling an ICBM. Now, it's not an ICBM, it's an IRBM. IRBM, Intermediate Range Ballistic Missile. They say it can go 3,600 miles. I seriously doubt it went anywhere near that distance to arrive at in Ukraine. Okay. It did cause damage, and none of the Ukrainian air defense systems took it down. Now, the people on social media are saying it's a hypersonic missile. I imagine Putin would agree with that, but that means it goes at Mach 5 or greater, which is, I don't know, something like 3,750 miles an hour, 3,750 miles an hour, or more. Do we know that was the case? No. We don't. Ukraine has some decent air defense systems from America and other countries, but Putin's regular, more short-range missiles have gotten past their air defenses on many occasions, so let's not get carried away, okay? Putin shot one such missile. Now, Putin has been warning and threatening NATO, Europe, America, who knows who else, for a long time about red lines, and red lines have gotten crossed. Now, after Russia shot the ICBM, Zelensky in Ukraine shot more long-range missiles into Russia as an act of defiance, a slap across the face. So what this boils down to is that America, with their proxy Ukraine and the UK and NATO, are testing the resolve of Russia. Will Russia really go to war over Ukraine? Now we need to discuss what go to war means, okay? And I'm bringing the Bible prophecy pictures together for you, although it doesn't look that way, but you'll soon see it. Russia might have ICBMs, but not the kind that go up into space, unless Russia figured out a way to break the firmament in Genesis 1. Now, if you're going to believe the Bible, there's a firmament up there. If you want to ask me how high, I don't really know. My guess is probably about 100,000 feet up, as a guess. I don't know. Okay? It's not 25,000 miles up or anything like that. Okay? So satellites are supposed to get up to 25,000 miles, and that would mean they'd break the firmament. In addition, if you look at pictures of satellites, they're very flimsy looking. They show you pictures of them not flying in space, on the ground in factories and warehouses. Now, how the heck do the satellites resist space debris and stay up there for years? That's a nice question, isn't it? Yeah. Good question. Second of all, if the area 25,000 miles up, according to the NASA and the other people, would be a vacuum. So how does the satellite navigate in a vacuum? They're supposed to have little thruster engines that they could turn on with radios from the Earth and beep for a few seconds, and then it changes position and moves around, okay? Well, how does that work in a vacuum? There's fuel in this satellite engine, thruster engine, that's probably small, and they cause the fuel to ignite and it burns, and then they go with, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. What does the exhaust gases of this jet engine in the satellite, so that's what it is, like a rocket engine or something, what does it push against to propel it forward if there's a vacuum? Oh, let's see, that's a problem, isn't it, Let's talk about when they went to the moon and they showed us movies of the flag waving in the moon, and the moon's in the vacuum according to the space authorities. So what would cause the flag to wave? There would be no wind or air up there. You getting the idea yet? So ICBMs breaking through the firmament. If you believe not in the Bible, you're going to believe it. If you believe in the Bible, it doesn't work. On the other side of the firmament is the waters. God opened up the gates or the doors of heaven and brought the waters down with the Noahic flood. But they're closed, and if a missile or an aircraft or a spaceship went up into space, it would have to get through the firmament, and that means it has to break the firmament, and then all the water would be coming in. Have you seen a massive flood lately, like Noah's flood? No. No, I haven't either. So the theory of the ICBM shooting up into space then traveling in the vacuum. A good question is, how does a missile travel in the vacuum when there's no air for the exhaust gases to push against? And how are you going to burn the fuel when there's no air up there? Bring air tanks? I mean, and then even then, what would it push against? And once you open up the air tank, this is kind of comical, but if you open up the air tank, there'd be no resistance against the air pressure, and it would go flying all over space fairly immediately. It's a vacuum. So let's get real. Okay, so this business of some missile breaks through the firmament, goes into the vacuum, miraculously travels, gets over the target, and releases warheads or bombs that go back and break through the firmament again in a different location and come down and hit their target. Now, come on, let's get real. How? I have no idea. It can't work. That would mean the Bible's wrong and the nations with all their leaders are correct. And see, what they're trying to do is instill fear of man to you, because that's a snare. And the Bible says if you're going to fear man, it's a snare. So they all do it on multiple levels, okay? I'm surprised they haven't told us that Russia set up a missile site with 1,100 missiles on the moon and is going to rain ICBM missiles down on us from the moon. I'm surprised we haven't heard that one yet. Okay, let's continue. So it was an IRBM, an intermediate range ballistic missile. It went a decent distance. I don't know how far. Maybe it went a few hundred miles or something like that. Why would Russia launch it from the, eastern side of Russia to the western side and give Ukraine more warning time, and it hit its target and it wasn't taken down. Whoopie-doo. America didn't flinch. Now, neither did the UK or NATO. Was it hypersonic? Who the heck knows? They claim many things. I have no idea if it was hypersonic. Do I think hypersonic could really be attained? I think so. That doesn't mean they have the capability to do it, and it doesn't mean they have the capability to do it accurately. And then we'd have to get into how much fuel is required to propel the thing at that speed. You see, to get a missile moving faster, you have to put more horsepower in it, like getting a car moving faster, right? Okay. So how do you get the missile moving faster? You put a bigger engine in it, more horsepower. Now, does a bigger engine burn more fuel? Yes. Does a bigger engine weigh more than a regular size engine? Yes. When you increase the size of the engine, does that make it by itself burn more fuel? Sure, more mass or more weight to move. And when you're bigger, does your bigger engine burn more fuel? Sure. And when you go on a long distance run, like thousands of miles, do you have to store even more fuel in this missile? Yeah. Now, when you store more fuel in the missile, it's extra weight, and it's going to slow down the missile. So then you have to compensate with more horsepower in the engine, bigger engine or whatever, right? You're getting the idea how you can hit diminishing returns here, okay? Now, they have missiles where they have a stage where the first stage then falls away. Okay, that helps them, okay? But I don't see any stages on these pictures of the Russian ICBMs. So when you delve into this thing with an ICBM, It's not ever going to break the firmament. It may go high, and it may go fast. The higher up they go, now they could get up to, I imagine they could, get a missile moving easily at some place around 50 to 70,000 feet up. There's 5,200 feet roughly in a mile, so you're not getting up very high. And the air is thinner, so you could probably attain more speed due to lower air resistance, which is a big factor in airplanes and missiles. But then the fuel with that thin air isn't going to give you the same kick you're going to get at a lower altitude with better fuel. So, could something like this conceivably be possible to go at such high speeds? Probably. Does that mean they have it? No. Does that mean they can't detect it on radar and take it down? Well, if they had it, it might not come down with radar. They may not be able to detect it. It's moving so fast that they won't be able to get and hold a good lock on it. But maybe they could. You see, their computers projected or predict the trajectory of the missile, and they could, with their computers, get the timing precise enough so they could shoot the missile. In other words, like, let's say they're trying to shoot in war a tank with another tank, right? So the tank's moving at 35 miles an hour, so they could predict how long it takes for the artillery shell to get in the path of the tank and predict the path of the tank and have the artillery shell hit the tank right at the spot it's supposed to be. It's called leading in shooting. Okay? Soldiers see a soldier running and they put the sights so many feet in front of the soldier so it hits him. If they're trying to shoot a soldier at 500 yards and they don't lead him, by the time the bullet gets there, the soldier's going to be several inches or even a foot or two away, and the bullet's not going to hit him. So yeah, they might be able to take these things down. Or not. I don't know. I don't know how real they are yet. Iran said they launched them at us and the Israeli Defense Forces, which is not in the habit of telling blatant lies to the Israeli people. It's stupid. So many people are in the military in Israel, considering it's such a small country. And everybody knows somebody in the military, and the information gets out. Okay? So I don't think they're lying. I don't think these hypersonics are really being used. Now, that being said, they might have a short-range anti-ship missile that goes, I don't know how many miles, maybe 25 or something, I don't know. That can travel quick and cause a problem, because it's a short-range missile and they could get it to move faster than normal and it could cause a problem. But it seems that the American warships are afraid of the anti-ship missiles that the Houthis are using, especially the aircraft carriers. An aircraft carrier is not a fast maneuverable boat. It doesn't have very much in terms of its own defense mechanisms. It has these Gatling guns, phalanx. They have 4 of them on the aircraft carrier, 1 forward, 1 rear, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. And it sprays a wall of 20 millimeter shells at the path of the incoming projectile, and it keeps spraying them at a rate of about 3,000 rounds a minute, and it can take down a lot of stuff. Now, the bullets itself can go out quite a few miles. I think they can go 5 miles. So they got, some protection, okay? But they don't have the same level of protection that a destroyer has or a missile cruiser. So they send the aircraft carrier out with several destroyers and missile cruisers to protect it. And the aircraft carrier, in my opinion, is, well, an outdated item. It's useful against third or second world countries that have no real defenses or offensives to attack it, but the Houthis apparently have managed to hit American destroyers and aircraft carriers several times in recent months. Although America doesn't talk about it, they did take the aircraft carrier a few months ago that got hit by the Houthis into a port in, I think it's Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, apparently for repairs, and then got it out of there. So anyway, let's go back to Ukraine and Russia. So this is the bottom line here with war. America is calling the bluff with Europe and UK and NATO against Russia. Now let's assume and give Russia some benefit of the doubt here, and they do have hypersonic missiles or very high-speed missiles. These missiles are probably not going to be able to go anywhere near, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 miles range. I don't know how they're going to guide it like that, and I'm not so sure that that's ever been witnessed in the world. Okay, maybe they can go several hundred miles, and that would put Europe in grave danger from Russia. Maybe they can go 1,000 or 1,800 miles or something like that. Maybe 2,000. I don't know. Europe is definitely in grave danger. But you got to get this down. If Russia uses these things against NATO, NATO will respond. The UK said that if Russia invades any NATO country, they are ready to bring UK troops the same day to fight against Russia. And there's NATO troops all around the borders of Russia now in Europe. So Russia shoots missiles into America, UK, Romania, Poland, whatever, right? What happens next? Well, NATO is at war with Russia, and they will start launching missiles and send stealth bombers and attack jets and take out Russian radar, the whole 9 yards, and start attacking Russia. They'll begin with military bases. They'll start, the first target will be radar, then they'll hit aircraft, missile sites, missile storage units, oil refineries, because they don't want Russia selling oil through BRICS. And intelligence and command and communication centers and stuff like that. They're not going to go hit civilian targets anywhere near in the beginning. They're not going to get that nuts. And Russia is probably going to suffer tremendous losses. In other words, Russia will start to look like South Lebanon or something. NATO and America and the UK are very interested in having such a war take place outside of their countries, notably Ukraine, and of course it would probably mean Kaliningrad and Belarus, as well as inside Russia. So they would do everything they could to keep the war out of their countries, but I don't think they would succeed. Civilians will start getting killed in NATO countries, and you're going to see a big war. And this is what you got to understand, okay? If you're going to get anything at all, get this. North Korea, China, Iran, and Russia have mutual defense pacts with each other to come to each other's aid rather quickly, to help each other using anything they could possibly muster up to help them. So that's soldiers, planes, missiles, troops, intelligence, everything. Now, Iran North Korea and China are not going to let Russia fall. BRICS falls. Their master plan to destroy America and NATO is to build BRICS up, which will take time, and do a massive amount of trading of goods in the world. BRICS now has 27, 28 members, and they had 159 people countries that wanted to use the BRICS, blockchain, Bitcoin type payment system, as well as they have a BRICS debit card that's competing with American Express, Diners Club, Visa, MasterCard, JP, and all that. And they also have paper money. I showed you pictures of it some weeks ago. So what are they up to? What are they trying to do? They're trying to conduct massive amounts of world trade. Oil, natural gas, wheat, rice, corn, beef, blah, 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 blah. Not in euros or US dollars, and hurt the economies of the NATO countries, which is the EU, and America. And they'll hurt a lot of other countries too, but the other countries will just join BRICS. And it will lead to a slow but steady decline of America and NATO as significant powers in the world, because they will not be able to fund their machines. Their economies will go to seed. The dollar would probably very rapidly, drop 5 or 8%, and then very quickly go down 25%. And I think eventually it would drop, someplace like 35 to 50%, maybe 60, 70%. Gold would probably get up to 5,000, silver probably $100. Does prophetic time allow for this? I seriously doubt it. Prophetic time is meaningless to the leaders of these countries. They don't, of all the countries of the world, they don't believe the Bible, they don't fear God. They fear Satan, and they fear man. All right, so America is trying to see if Russia is going to go through with their threats or just back down. So far, Russia has not gone through with their threats, and there's a good reason for it. Russia's going to take a lot of damage. What America and NATO would like to do is get rid of Russia and Iran first, and then build up their weapons stores and, bear down on China and North Korea with sanctions as hard as they can. Now, mind you, doing this stops Russia and Iran, because they've destroyed their refineries, their ports where they offload the oil and natural gas to tanker ships are destroyed. China, as well as India, isn't going to be getting oil from them anymore. Now, India walks on the middle ground. They try not to take sides. So, yeah, they'll be able to get oil from America or whatever, right? But China's not going to be able to. And that could destroy them. Sure, they'll be able to get some oil, but it's probably not going to meet their needs. So then China has to go back to using the US dollar, negotiating its way out of sanctions with America. And North Korea has got to get slapped upside the head if they don't comply, and I doubt they would comply. North Korea is not a serious, significant threat. They don't have a workable Navy, nor do they have a workable Air Force. They've got missiles. Do I think personally North Korea could hit America with missiles? No. Do I think North Korea could hit South Korea and maybe Japan with missiles? Definitely. I don't think they could reach Taiwan. Okay? So America doesn't want to go have a war with China, North Korea, Iran, and Russia, and Cuba, and Venezuela, and Belarus, and all of these people at the same time. Why? They're using their proxy Israel to take care of Iran, and they're using their proxy Ukraine to take care of Russia. That's it. Yesterday they're attacking Haifa a lot. There was an attack on Haifa from Lebanon. It was like 5 or 6 missiles. See, they were putting out, not that long ago, up to 200 missiles a day, then 150, then 120, 100, 60, 40. Now they're down to small missile attacks, which is the same pattern we saw when we disabled Hamas in Gaza. So the capability of Hezbollah to launch dangerous missiles into Israel and drones is still there. But their ability to swarm attack us with large amounts of missiles is most likely gone. You see, if you're getting 5 or 6 or 8 missiles, it's much easier to use your Iron Domes to take them down than if you're getting 60. Because that's a swarm attack. Let me see what the chat's doing. The trolls should be in by now. Let's see if we got to get rid of them. Earth's gravitational pull has something to do with the Earth spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. The Bible says the Earth is immovable and it has pillars and stuff. So the angels stand on the 4 corners of the earth in the Bible. Now, how do you have 4 corners of a sphere, a round ball spinning at 1,000 miles an hour? The next thing, if you're on a sphere, a round ball, and you start going north, eventually you're going south. You start going east, you're going west, you're in the west. How does that work? How do you have north, south, east, and west on a spinning ball? Yeah, there's something hitting the west coast now. Read Genesis 1 and you'll read about the firmament. It separates the water from the heaven where the birds and the airplanes fly. I'm just blocking the trolls. You can't have wind on the moon if it's a vacuum. It's impossible. Your logic is very flawed. Because wind requires something to move. And in a vacuum, there's no something to move. NATO is not at war yet, but it's very close. When you have a rectangle or a square, you have an east side, a west side, a south, and a north side. On a sphere, I defy you to show me how you could do that. moon is slowly rusting. I don't know how that could be, but all right. So does Russia want to experience a war which is going to devastate them and their economy and their people over Ukraine? Ask yourself this. Ask yourself, is it worth it to Russia? Are the Russian people known, the chess champions they have, and are they known for being nincompoop idiots? With Iran, yeah, they're dumbbells. They'll do crazy emotionally charged things. But Russia? What's going on? They're working a trap on America. Who? China, North Korea, Iran, and Russia. They were all under sanctions. They're all being punished by America, being slapped upside the head every week, every month with this sanctions business, okay? And they're sick of it, and they want to get rid of America, so they don't want to have a big war with America, so they decided to do to America what America is doing to them and bust them out with BRICS, okay? Would it work? Yes, given enough time, it would destroy the economies of the EU and America and other countries. But the other countries would just go join BRICS. It would bust them out. So America gets Israel to start a war with, October 7th happened, which is very suspicious. And the Israel Supreme Court is asking Netanyahu why he never had an independent investigation conducted. Very concerning about that. And then Yemen and Hezbollah got into the fight, and it's leading to Iran. They're using Israel to knock down the proxies of Iran. Not so much in Yemen. America and the UK are trying that without much success. Not so much in Syria and Iraq, but they want to get rid of Gaza, the terrorist proxy, Gaza and Hezbollah. And it's also Israel doesn't want to start with Iran until we get rid of these proxies, and Hezbollah is about gone. Now, there's talk of a ceasefire with Hezbollah now. But the terms, when they said it looks like we got a ceasefire with Hochstein going over there, then Hezbollah added extra conditions into this proposed ceasefire that are unacceptable to Israel. Okay? Just like Hamas talks about, we'll have a ceasefire, and then they come back with more. Now, I'm also going to develop another theme with you, and that theme is in prophecy. It says, Israel has lost all her lovers. Nobody cares for Israel anymore. All right? So the UN Security Council the other day was passing a resolution that probably would have had enforcement capability, stating that the UN Security Council was demanding a ceasefire on the part of Hamas in Gaza and Israel. In other words, thou shalt not fight anymore. We are the UN. And they gave no precondition to Hamas to return the hostages, babies, elderly, soldiers, some are American citizens, dual nationals, stuff like this, right? And Biden had the good sense to realize that this is an outrageous situation, and he vetoed it because they're not going to give the hostages back. They just eventually kill them. So what they want is they want Israel to just stop the war in Gaza, go away, go back to Israel, not block them from smuggling weapons in from Egypt at the Rafah crossing anymore. And ultimately, they would try to open up a port so Iran and other countries could bring massive amounts of weapons in. And they would want an airport so Iran and other countries could, like North Korea, China, Russia, could fly weapons into them, and eventually kill Israel. Again, that's what their idea is. So Biden vetoed it, so that died. Okay, now the ICC, International Criminal Court, which is tied to the UN, sort of, kind of, came up with a ruling that Netanyahu, Gallant, and another guy in Israel that was in the government are guilty of war crimes using starvation, no water, no clothes, no shelter against Hamas. And they issued arrest warrants. Yeah, they did that the other day. So that means a lot, because the EU said that they would enforce these arrest warrants. That means Netanyahu and Gallant, although Gallant's out of position now, he was Minister of Defense, now he's just a civilian, that they can't go to Europe unless they don't mind getting arrested. The UK is in the process of creating an official policy or something that they too are going to honor this ICC judgment, that arrest warrants. So the Gallant and Netanyahu can't go to the European Union or the UK, which is no longer in the European Union. Israel is not a party to the ICC. They never signed a treaty giving the ICC jurisdiction over them like the EU did. America never signed this treaty. And Gaza is not a country. Biblically speaking, they're trying to arrest Netanyahu for taking part of Israel back. You see, God doesn't look at what man does, he looks at what he did in the Bible. Okay? And in the Bible, Gaza is ours. We had it, and the dumb Americans, along with dumb Netanyahu, gave it back. Okay? So it's basically what Netanyahu is doing is, biblically speaking, probably the way God sees it, is he's clearing murderers and gangsters out of his land. It's a neighborhood, think of it that way. And this neighborhood is full of foreign Venezuela gangsters, like in America, moving into hotels, taking it over, making the people pay them protection money and rent. That's what Gaza is. It's basically a bunch of hooligans that took over a piece of land that Israel let them take over. Unless you want to ignore God and say, well, we don't care what God thinks and what the Bible thinks. All that matters to us is man. Well, see how long you're walking around above ground. I'd like you to think about that. So the absurdity of this decision is massive. Okay? It's just anti-Semitism, and it serves to drive the pro-Iran, pro-Palestinian terrorist murderer sympathizers to the conclusion that Netanyahu and Israel are genocidal maniacs. But what did they do on October 7th? Genocide against civilians, babies, elderly, burning them alive, cutting fetuses out of mothers, throwing babies in ovens. Murder, rape, raping women, raping men. Yeah, they raped men. Yeah, they raped men. Did I say they raped men? Yeah, they did. They don't have any women soldiers in Hamas. Men rape men. Okay? That's what happened. So this is what you're dealing with, you know. So all her lovers have left her. Well, America, you could call America a lover, but it is really very questionable. He's still, every time you turn around, we're not going to give you these arms unless you do this or do that. Israel's gone out of its way to be nice to them. And what they do, Hamas steals the humanitarian aid at gunpoint and hoards it for themselves, leaving the Gaza civilians, if you want to call them that, without the humanitarian aid. And then more humanitarian aid got to be brought in, and then they steal more of it. And then they sell it back to their own civilians at exorbitant prices. And of course, they're getting a spread of the profits from these stores that sell it. And they say openly and repeatedly they want to do another October 7th attack on Israel. They look forward to it. And their buddies, the Houthis in Yemen, attack shipping all over the world because they think they stopped at Israel or they're going towards Israel, and they just start attacking civilian vessels. They've taken crews hostage. I don't know if they've ever returned them. I don't think so. Maybe they did. I never heard about it. They're not going to talk about that in the news. They don't mind that. So it's mounting, and we're getting closer and closer. Okay? Now, there's a scripture I've read a number of times that the churches never ever teach anybody. And rather than me tell you why they never ever teach anybody, ask yourself why they never teach anybody. Jeremiah 50:24. This is about the destruction of the daughter of Babylon, which millions and millions and millions of people that read the Bible know is America. I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. Okay? So, America's in a snare. What is the snare? Well, it doesn't tell us what the snare is, but Trump admitted up to 30 million illegal aliens inside America, and we know 60 to 70% are military-age males. Some estimates from a retired Border Patrol guy go up to 50 million. Take the low figure, 60% of, 30 million. You got 18 million military-aged males running around in America. Gangs have taken over apartment buildings, hotels in numerous cities in America. They're supporting them. They're flying them around when they come in across the border from one city to another. Why did the Biden administration do that? It's clearly not good for America. Why did Biden do it? Well, I expect Biden, if you get my drift, did it to try to change America. And now you have Trump coming in about 8 weeks now, and he's going to change America radically different than what Biden and Obama want for America. So what do we see now? We see America dumping massive amounts of military aid to Ukraine every few days. And Ukraine is continuing to use these long-range missiles. I don't think they've used any from France yet. And they're in the process of getting rocket-propelled artillery, which could go, 75 or even 90 miles into Russia. Putin's not going to like that. So Putin must be the village idiot because he wants to sacrifice Russia, doing trillions of dollars of damage to Russia to accomplish capturing Ukraine, which is to a good extent busted up and destroyed like Gaza. Not entirely, but parts of it are. Does that make sense to you? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe it's because Putin's drinking and his government is drinking the cup of the wrath of the Lord and they're acting delusionally. That would be what I think. Because he is acting delusionally. If you think that Iran, Russia, and China are just going to sit back and let Russia get taken down, so the sequence would be Russia goes first, then Iran, or maybe at the same time, and then they go in and clean out China and North Korea, initially by cruel sanctions, and then if that doesn't work, they'll start doing embargoes and, stopping ships from coming in and leaving China, and they'll just keep provoking them. Mind you, if Iran and Russia are history, then America could really bear down hard on China and North Korea. And with Iran out of the picture, the oil-producing countries in the Middle East will just do whatever the United States tells them to do, like you can't sell any oil to China or North Korea because they're under severe sanctions and they'll comply. Okay? So there's two death matches taking place here. America and NATO want to bust out Russia and Iran so they can't influence the Middle East and oil and support BRICS and stuff like that. The UAE is also in BRICS. If they break BRICS up, the UAE oil, Russian oil and Iran oil, and I'm sure Saudi Arabia oil eventually, and probably Qatar and maybe Bahrain and all, their oil is not going to be flowing to China and North Korea, and they're going to be in dire straits. And they're going to try to conquer Russia and divide it into pieces that the NATO countries will take over. So there's still a lot of posturing. UK says, if Russia invades another NATO country, we're going to mobilize our troops into Russia and attack Russia the same day, that night, or whatever, right? That could be just posturing. But it could happen too. So how does this war not happen? Well, Putin's trying to get NATO and Biden to back off, and that obviously didn't work, as evidenced by Ukraine continuing to fire long-range missiles into Russia after the Russian IRBM missile hit on a ONIPRO or something in Ukraine. So Putin doesn't back down. You got two kids in cars playing chicken. They're out on a highway somewhere in the middle of nowhere, driving their cars as fast as they can at each other to see who turns away first. Or if nobody turns away, well, then they kill each other. And that, to me, looks like they're getting ready to kill each other. America built a big base in Poland, and that's near Russia. And Russia said that's, typical NATO posturing by putting bases around Russia that can launch missiles and aircraft, quickly and easily into Russia. And he's talking about he might attack that base. Well, Putin talks about attacking everything, He's going to attack the Ukraine parliament. He's going to attack American facilities. He's going to attack UK. Putin can't attack everybody like that. So what is Putin going to do? I'm not sure right now. What he's eventually there's going to be this big war in Jeremiah 30:11, and I'll read it to you. Some of you may not know about it because the churches, for some reason, never talk about it. Why they don't talk about it is not for me to cram down your throat. You should ask yourself why, or ask the Lord. Jeremiah 30:11, which is associated with the birth pangs and the birth of the nation of the day. I am with thee, saith Jehovah, to save thee, speaking to Israel. Though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. So, he's going to destroy all the nations that he scattered the Israelites into. Let me give you a breakdown of this. Okay, we know they've been in every nation in Europe, every single one. They've been in Russia, Italy, Germany, Austria, England, Portugal, Spain. They've been all over the place. Maybe, possibly, there's a few Nordic countries they were not in or something, but I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe there's a handful. I don't know. But I wouldn't count on it. Much of the Middle East they've been scattered to, definitely, and everything in North, South, and Central America and the Caribbean, I believe, and parts of Asia. So they've been spread out. Now, I would come up with a rough cut guess, just throwing a whack at it, of about 125 nations. Now, the other things the churches never teach you is the year of recompense, is the day of vengeance, and the year of redemption. They never teach it. Again, you ask yourself why they never teach it, okay? I'm not going to cram it down your throat. Isaiah 34:8. And it's obvious this has never been fulfilled in the past. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance. I never hear any of these church preachers talk about this day of the Lord's vengeance. And the year of recompenses. That means the year of payback. Why? For the controversy of Zion. The word controversy is not really the best translation for this. It's Strong's number 7379. Whoops, let's get back there. I lost my translation. Controversy. Let's see what English word Strong's uses for this. A contest, adversary, contend, that's like fight. The contender for the heavyweight title, you know. Strife, that's like fighting. Okay, so it says again, for it is the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. We also see this in Jeremiah 46, verse 28. So it's in two places of the Bible, and they never teach it to you. In the churches, fear thou not, O Jacob, my servant. That's the 12 tribes. Saith Jehovah, for I am with thee, for I will make a full end of all the nations whither I have driven thee, but I will not make a full end of thee, but will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. Well, we've certainly been punished. Now, the controversy, the strife, the contending, the fighting with the nations, that word is goyim, the heathen nations, over Zion, over Israel. Look what the ICC just did. They want to arrest the head of Israel because he's defending against Gaza, that are trying to kill and massacre Israelis, like Hezbollah in Lebanon, like the Yemen, which is really Edom in the Bible, and Iran and all that. So they want to arrest them. I don't care what God says, that he made a covenant to give us this land from the Euphrates to the Nile. Where did he say that? I'll find it for you. I believe it's Genesis 15. It's verse 18, sorry. Genesis 15:18. In the same day, Jehovah made a covenant. That word is brit. It's a covenant. Okay? With Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt, that's the Nile, unto the great river, the river Euphrates. And he names them. He says the Canaanites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, they're in Turkey, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaites, and the Amorites, that's Jordan. I don't know where all these Canaanites, that would probably be Gaza. The Girgashites and the Jebusites, okay? Now, this land from the Euphrates River to the Nile encompasses the following piece of geography. I'll do this off my head. Or going from west of the Euphrates River, you have that part of Turkey, which is about 2/3 of Turkey, not Cyprus, because the land of Israel ends at the Mediterranean. So 2/3 of Turkey to the left or the west of the Euphrates, major piece of Iraq, again to the left or the west of the Euphrates, and Syria, the same thing, all of Lebanon, okay, all of Jordan, all of Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, Saudi Arabia. Now going over across the Red Sea, we have to the east of the Nile River, or the right-hand side of the Nile River, we have parts of Egypt, Sudan, South Sudan, parts of Kenya, Uganda. We got all the Djibouti, Somalia, Eritrea, and Ethiopia. It may not be all of Ethiopia, but it could be. But our Ethiopia today is not the same as the old Ethiopia. Now, this piece of land is about 100 times, just as a rough whack at it, bigger than the land of Israel now. And that's coming to us. That's the land he promised to Abraham and his seed. And then Peter tells us that the promises were not made to seed of one, but not made to seed of many, but one seed, and that's Christ. And that's why it's going to only go in the year of redemption to those that are Israelites now accepting Yeshua HaMashiach as their Messiah. And it also includes, as Israel, also includes all the believers that are non-Israelite. I don't care what color they are, what language they are, where they're from. They are also in Israel, and all of Israel shall be saved. That's what it says. It never says all the church shall be saved. It says the glory of the God of Israel, the God of Israel, the God of Israel. It never says the God of the church. So if you're a believer in Yeshua, you're in Israel. He calls you his brethren. He's the high priest in the order of Melchizedek, quite Jewish, right? He's from the tribe of Judah, which is Judah, which is the word that they got Jew from. So you could say in English, Yeshua is a Jew, descendant of King David, who is a Jew from Judah, right? So Yeshua calls you his brethren. When you do it to the least of these of my brethren, you do it to me. So Yeshua, the Messiah, the Son of Jehovah, refers to believers of any country or national origin or whatever as his brethren. So then the church will tell you, no, where would the church? We stand next to Israel, we're not Israel. That's a cruel joke that Satan's playing on them, because it says all Israel shall be saved, and they run around announcing that they're not Israel. Now, you should ask yourself why the church doesn't teach you these things. They're in your Bible, and you should definitely study the Bible on your own, shouldn't you? It's the mystery John the Revelator, Apostle John, talked about. Yeah, but the word mystery could also, it's secret. It's a better translation as a secret than a mystery. What nonsense I talk, read 2 + 4 contract. That certainly means nothing to me. 2 + 4 contract. Meaningless comment. I don't know what he's talking about. He is Judah, the Lion of Judah. Well, the Lion of Judah is Judah. It means Jew. They're grafted in, but they're in. Grafted in is still in. Somebody said I should look at, or they mentioned, Daniel chapter 2, verse 36 to 45. Okay. Let's go. Daniel chapter 2, verse 36 to 45. Let's see if it has any relevance. This is a dream, and we will tell you the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory, and wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven, hath he given unto thy hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall be a rule over all the earth. Now this goes back into thousands of years, so where do you want to start pinning it? Napoleon, Alexander the Great, the Medes, or Persia? I don't know. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdue all things, as iron that breaketh all these shall break in pieces. And where is thou sawest the feet and the toes of iron, blah blah blah. And it goes on. Look, I don't know how. Let's just jump ahead. And where, verse 43, and where is thou sawest iron mixed, but they shall not cleave one. Okay, and then 44, And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and shall stand forever. That's Israel serving the Lord, Jehovah and Yeshua HaMashiach. But how many people really believe this is going to be Trump in America? You know, if you read it to them, they'd probably say, yeah, that's Trump. You know, for as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it breaketh in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, silver, and gold, and the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. Yeah, it's explaining that it's Israel, so that it's actually relevant. And as a believer, you're in Israel. Where else are you going to be? In America or in the Baptist church, Pentecostal church? I mean, come on. You know, look, if you are in the church and not in Israel, does the Bible indicate that you're going to go to New Jerusalem? Well, let's take a look at a scripture and take a look at that, okay? We're in Revelation 21. And it says in verse 10, and he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. That's New Jerusalem coming down from heaven, right? Having the glory of God. Now, they don't understand the glory of God is an angel. It's Michael, that in Exodus 23, verse 20, God said he put his name, Jehovah, inside this angel. So, of course, he can receive the offerings and sacrifices in the next temple on behalf of Jehovah. Having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone, most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Maybe a jasper's a diamond or something. Let's see. I don't know what it is. I've studied in years past the biblical names for precious stones, but it's just a gem. I mean, I'm sure we could run it down, but let's just keep going. And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels. Now, it appears that the angels were guarding the gate. I don't think they were there to hand out the programs for the services, or to give flowers to the women on Mother's Day or something like that. They were there to see only the right people go into the right gate. And at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. So there's 12 gates, 3 on each side of New Jerusalem, and an angel guards each gate. And the gates are named after the tribes. So if you're not in one of the tribes of Israel, how are you going to get in? You're going to look for the Baptist gate, the American gate, the Russian gate, the United Nations gate, the Presbyterian gate, the Assemblies of God gate. You know, what gate? The Lutheran gate? There are no such gates. Now, how do these people get incorporated into the tribes of Israel? Now, you should be asking yourself why the church doesn't teach this to you, that I'm going to show you right now. You go to Ezekiel 47, verse 21. This is after the next war, which is Zechariah 12, where the 2 witnesses win the war. In Zechariah 12:6, it shows you the 2 witnesses burning the enemies up that are surrounding Israel in the siege, which is already taking place now. Who's sieging us? Yemen, Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, okay? But it's not in its fullness yet, but it's ongoing. A siege is not an invasion, it's a surrounding and attacking while you're surrounding. So shall you divide this land. This is after we get the land back that I just told you about, the Genesis 15 covenant. So shall we divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you and to the strangers, the non-Israelites, that sojourn, that travel and live with you among you, which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. So the people that are in Yeshua are going to come in the next great Exodus, and we are to treat them as native-born Israelites. And let's keep reading. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourn there, shall you give him his inheritance, saith Adonai Jehovah. So they're going to travel with the tribes of Israel, all 12, to Israel in the next great Exodus. And they're going to get an equal share of the land along with the Israelites because they become Israelites. And if God says they're Israelites, doom and gloom on anybody that objects to that. And the next temple has 12 gates also, each one named after one of the tribes of Israel, which precedes New Jerusalem. So now you know how you're going to get into New Jerusalem. And why the church never teaches you this is something that you need to ask yourself. It's right there in your Bible. I'm not giving you dreams and visions. I'm giving you your own Bible, reading it to you, your own Bible that you've carried around all these years. I'm going to take a fast break and come right back. Why does your pastor not teach this? Ask yourself. Don't you think you need to know this? No, not yet. I wear sunglasses because I spend a lot of time in front of the screens. That's what I do. And they ease the strain on my eyes, and they're polarized, and they block blue light up to 400 nanometers. Okay, so let me go back in the live stream, see what's cooking here. All right. Well, before I forget, there's some prayer and toss requests here. Okay. Prayer requests for SG Sierra Girl, SG Sierra Girl, and KG Kilo Girl, KG Kilo Girl. Prayer for good health and a good relationship with the Lord. So we're praying for SG and KG, good health, which you could also say healing, and a good relationship with the Lord. Now we got a prayer request for Romeo Golf, RG, Romeo Golf, RG. This person has a hearing problem, ears, hearing. Pray for healing for the hearing problem for Romeo Golf, RG. I have a toss request for BS, Baker Sierra, BS, Baker Sierra toss. And I have another toss request for Charlie Bravo, CB, Charlie Bravo, CB. Okay, toss request. Okay. And please keep the prayers coming for Chief while he's improved. He sleeps in a corner of the room, and it's a tile floor. And it could be slippery. I slide around on it, and he doesn't have enough strength left from that, whatever he did to his leg, I don't know. And he can't stand up, so he barks a lot. And I can't reach him. He goes all the way under the furniture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some wooden thing in there to block him from going that far under the furniture so I could get him out. So please keep praying for Chief the dog. He still needs more prayer. I really appreciate it. And my wife is still recovering, and I did a little twist and turn on the red light therapy, a different device, and it's working better, I think. So keep the prayers coming for my wife. Appreciate it. Okay, let me go through some more notes here. Putin says he's entitled to a strike any nation giving Ukraine weapons. My comment is talk is cheap, Putin. There's no peace talks going on. I mean, Biden's not sending a team, Blinken and, those guys over to Moscow to talk to them. The Hochstein peace ceasefire with Lebanon, it blew up already. He's in Israel today, but it ain't going anywhere. Hochstein keeps getting sent to make peace deals, as does Blinken, and they always fail. And Biden never replaces them, does he? So perhaps we might get the idea that Biden doesn't want these peace deals. And that's why he doesn't fire these people like Trump would, because they never succeed. Even Obama was replacing people that couldn't deliver. He replaced Hillary as Secretary of State at one point. So you might think this, and I can't guarantee this is going to happen, but I think it might. China and North Korea are waiting for America and NATO to really get into it. And then North Korea attacks South Korea, which will drag Japan into it. And China attacks Taiwan, which will drag Japan into it. And probably do something with the Philippines and Guam. And America keeps something like 14 warships around the Asia Pacific theater, and that's not going to do a whole lot of anything. So America would have to start deploying assets to the Asia Pacific region, although they do have bases in Guam and South Korea. Now they're also deploying troops to Europe to fight against Russia with NATO. And then Iran does something, so now they got to deploy troops against Iran. And guess what? America can't handle a multi-front war like that. What's multi-front? The Middle East, which is going to have multi-fronts inside itself. NATO, NATO and Russia, which is going to have multi-fronts inside that. And then there's a front with North and South Korea, another one with China and Taiwan, and also Japan will be fighting against North Korea and Russia and the Philippines. And now we got to deal with the sleeper agents, which none of these news stories want to talk about anymore. You got to pay attention to 60 to 70% military-age males. There's a reason for that. God says in Jeremiah 50:51, he's going to fill the land of the daughter of Babylon up like with caterpillars, similar to caterpillars. So I think those are sleeper agents. Caterpillars don't storm in like bulls. They sneak in very quietly and secretly and all that. So remember that what Putin did is he shot a missile into Ukraine, probably a few hundred miles. Iran, I don't see how, he uses his own radar. He has big, powerful radar in Russia. We took out Iran's big, powerful radar and their missile guiding radar. They have no way. So now they're bringing missiles into Iraq and Syria. We're destroying them in Syria. And we're going to destroy more radar in Syria as the time goes on, and more radar in Iraq, and blow stuff up in Iraq. It's expected we'll hit Iraq very soon. I'm checking my notes, yeah. The IAEA, International Atomic Energy Association, I guess, is dropping on Russia about, going out of the limits of, well, it was saying they want Iran to give more open revelation to them about their nuclear sites, and Iran's response to that was, we're going to expand and enhance our nuclear programs. So basically, Iran told the IAEA to take a long walk on a short pier, or hello, my name's Cliff, drop over sometime, So I've told you for many, many, many months that that's going to be the real provocation, I think, or one of the real provocations for sure, of why Iran's going to be attacked. Iran in Jeremiah 49, the last 8 or 10 verses or so, is referred to as Elam. Elam in the old biblical days was Iran, southwest Iran, parts of Iraq, parts of Syria. So today you can think of it as Iran, Iraq, and Syria. It will be destroyed by her enemies in the plural. Now, the enemies I see today would be Israel, the United States, and Iran. And the UK. Israel, the United States, and the UK. But more could join in. And the people have to leave Iran and they scatter into all the nations of the world. And there the sword chases them and they get cut off. Iran, Iraq, and Syria are part of this mess to destroy Israel. Year of recompenses for the controversy over Zion. And they get it. That's one of our jets, you might hear it. If it was an enemy jet, it wouldn't sound like that. It would sound like, okay. So the EU said they would honor the arrest warrant for Netanyahu, and the UK said they're making moves, I believe, in their legislature to do the same thing. So Iran is defying everybody they could defy with this IAEA thing, and that's their really good excuse to destroy Iran. They could use Israel as an excuse, but then everybody's going to accuse them of being Jew lovers, and they don't want that. So let's go talk about Isaiah 61 again. The Lord spoke to me about that, I guess you could say, or showed me something this morning. I was praying about it and I got an immediate answer. And I want to show you what the Lord showed me about this. It goes back to, I think, Luke 4, but it reads like this. The Spirit, it's quoted in the New Testament, I should say, but not all of it. The Spirit of Adonai Yehovah is upon me, because Jehovah hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and opening of the prison. We've covered that. That's the pit that the Israelites have gone on into, which is where the dry bones come out of. And I don't want to develop that whole theme again, but the dry bones is not the church, it's Israel. God closed the eyes and stopped up the ears of the Israelites. It says that more than once in the Bible, so they would not turn to him and be healed during their 2,000 year of punishment, which is explained in Hosea 6:1 and 2. But the time is up, pretty much. We're right at the edge of it being up. And when we begin the year of redemption, it's up. And that's what we're going to talk about now. To proclaim the acceptable year of Jehovah. The acceptable year means more like the pleasant year. It's talking about, as a reference, the Jubilee year, every 50th year, where every man is returned to his family, as in dry bones coming back to Israel and being with their family many generations removed. Got it? And every man gets his inheritance back, his land and his house. Well, I broke down the covenant that God gave us, where we're going to get our land back. And that'll happen when the year of redemption starts. Now we're in recompenses, which is the payback of the nations. To proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn. Well, the mourning happens after they see the sign. I can't explain all of this. We'll be here for hours and hours and hours. But in my YouTube, in the live section, it says like videos, shorts, live. Go to the live section. You'll see many, many, many good Bible studies there. You can just search through them and fast forward through the news, and you'll have them there. To proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance. So the day of vengeance is in the year of recompenses, but it's also in the year of redemption. So I need to prove that to you, right? Isaiah 63, maybe verse 4. Yep. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. So it's referenced into the year of recompenses, and it's also, as in Isaiah 34:8, and it's also referenced into the year of redemption. Now, the word for year here is shanat, not shana. Shana is the regular term for year in Hebrew, and the plural for shana is shanim. Someone might say, how old are you? You would say, Yesh li hamashim shanim. I have 50 years. Okay, that's how you would do it. All right, now if you go back, you shall sacrifice a lamb of the first year. That word for year is also shanat, not shana. So of the first year means the lamb would be at least 12 months old, but not 24 months old, because that would be the second year. So it's in the first year. So it's a term that's not meaning, it's very unique to Hebrew. It's not meaning a calendar 12-month year. It's something else. Sacrifice a lamb in the first Shanat. So the Lord told me, now I'm saying things that are not in the Bible that the Lord told me. On October 10th, 2023, he said, this is recompenses. So I don't know if it started on the 10th. Maybe it started on the 8th or the 9th, or I don't know. But let's assume it did start on the 10th. Then it can go on for a while, beyond October 10th. It already has. So let's go back. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. So we got the day of vengeance with the year of the redeemed, with redemption year. So the day of vengeance is, there seems to be an overlap between year of recompenses and day of vengeance, and that day of vengeance may be the last day of recompenses and also the first day of the year of redemption, or some overlap to that effect. Because the day of vengeance is tied to year of recompenses and redemption. So let me go back to Isaiah 61, if the iPad wants to work with me. Come on, iPad. 61. So, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn. So here, Jehovah is, or you could say Yeshua, is associating the day of vengeance with the acceptable year. Now, the day of vengeance has not a thing to do with regular Jubilee years at all. Got it? So this is the Lord giving us a tip, like he speaks in parables. For those that are knowledgeable, that have the Holy Spirit, that understand the Bible, this is a tip that this acceptable year associated with the day of vengeance is likely a Jubilee year. I would say it probably is. And it's going to line up with the year of redemption because both of them have tremendous similarities. The word for Jubilee year in Hebrew is Yovel, and it means to, what does it mean again? Get your land, your home back. And that's what we're going to be doing, getting all our land back. It's our land. God gave it to us. I don't care what the UN says. I don't care what the nations say. I don't care what the churches say. I don't care about anything. I care what God says. And that's what God said. And God didn't just say it, he made it as a covenant. And God is no covenant breaker. Okay? So we will get that land back, and it will be in the year of redemption. Will we be reunited with our families? Yeah, the dry bones are going to come back to Israel. That's what happens to them. Are they our ancestors? Yes, they are. Are they getting restored back to their land? Yeah, they're coming out of the pit, the dry places. That's the place where the beggar that ate the crumbs from the table of the rich man, the beggar wound up in Abraham's bosom, and the rich guy wound up in the dry place and said, Abraham, send the beggar over here so he could put his finger in water and put it on my tongue because it's very hot or dry, whatever he said. I think hot. And then he asked Abraham to send the beggar to tell his brothers what's going on, and he said they would believe him if he came back from the dead. And Abraham said, let them believe Moses and the prophets. If they don't believe them, they're not going to believe if one comes back from the dead. There you go. So they, too, remember when Yeshua went for 3 days, he went down and preached to them. Who do you think he preached to? He preached to the Israelites that were being punished. Why is God bringing them out of this? Because he stopped up their ears and closed their eyes. Church never teaches this that I know of. Maybe they do, but I don't hear it. I don't listen to them too much, to be honest with you, at all. Why? I occasionally pay attention to them on social media to see what lies they're spreading, and then I teach against the lies. But that's about all I have to do with them. I wouldn't walk foot in one of those places any sooner than I'd go to a whorehouse or an opium den. So the Jubilee year is likely going to be in the redemption year, or else why would Yeshua say it? The acceptable year is not normally the way the Bible refers to the redemption and the redemption year. So it's probably the pleasant year. It seems to be referencing the Jubilee year. Now, when does the Jubilee year begin? Well, the month is triggered by the spotting of the new moon sliver, and as a guess, within a few days, February, the middle of February to the third week in February would be my closest guess at it right now in 2025. So you're looking at 3 months, basically, roughly. December, January, February, about 3 months, give and take. I mean, this is the way I'm interpreting it now. Could I be wrong? Yeah, I'm not thinking so. I could be wrong. The other thing is this acceptable year is a Shanat, so it doesn't mean on that day that we spot the new moon that it's going to happen. Because that would give us the day and the hour. Because you're going to know within a day or two if the moon's going to be spotted beforehand. So it would happen in that year, I guess. So you're not going to get the day or the hour. Jeremiah 30:11 is going to happen. Destruction of all the nations he scattered them into, and the daughter of Babylon is going to be destroyed. It says nations from the north. Russia's not really north. Israel, it is sort of. I don't know. It could be Russia and Iran. It's vague. I mean, Italy's north too. I mean, I don't. Bible prophecy doesn't give us fine details. We know what's going to happen. We don't always have the exact precise timing at all. And we get a pretty good idea. But we don't know all the details. What's going to provoke it, what's going to bring it about, when exactly, and we don't know. Could Elijah be working with the Levites in Malachi 3 with the the offerings and the sacrifices before the year of redemption? I think definitely so. I think that them making the sacrifices acceptable unto the Lord is going to coincide with redemption, because the blessings of the Lord will come on it. That's how I'm looking at it. And I'm looking at the acceptable year of the Lord is Jubilee, but, you know, that's, let me just say, that's what I think I'm supposed to say now, and that's what I think it means. Okay? Have I made mistakes before? Yeah. Do I think this is a mistake? If I did, I wouldn't say it. But, you know, I don't have a solid, firm scripture. I think this is really the case. But remember, it's not a Shana, it's a Shanat, so it could be a long period of time. We're not going to know the day of the hour. Okay. So, I think I accomplished what I wanted to. Let me run into the live stream and see if we've got questions. Chinar in the Asia Pacific area. Yeah, the Jews are there. Very good point. Someone says, how would it sound again? I don't remember what it was. Opening of the prison doors, not the wallet. The Jubilee, spelled J-E-W. What are you trying to do? You are making this up. Read Leviticus 23. I'm not making it up. All right. We'll get rid of you. We were just spamming the chat. Some nincompoop got rid of him. We won't see him again. There's another brilliant genius here saying you don't know. Yeah, great. That's a really good sound argument. You don't know. Yeah. Okay. So, what is Russia going to do? Well, I don't think, just the bottom line, I don't think Russia's going to engage NATO unless they know Iran, North Korea, China, Belarus, Cuba, Venezuela, some of the stand countries are going to come to their assistance. Maybe Azerbaijan, Armenia, and this and that. Do I think Russia's going to directly engage with Israel? No, not at all. I don't see it. I don't think so. I don't think so. Remember, all the countries lie, and they're lying about many things now, especially their weapon capability. So, what do? Well, you get ready. Is the daughter of Babylon possibly going to be destroyed before the year of redemption? Probably. Not by a lot, but probably. Or maybe early on in the year of redemption. It's very hard to pin these things down. I think before. Do I think Elijah training the Levites to make the offerings and sacrifices acceptable to the Lord in Malachi 3, is that going to bring on the culmination of Zechariah 12? I think so. I think so. Is this possibly Gog and Magog we're coming up on now? Not a chance. In Gog and Magog it says Israel's living in peace and safety without bars and walls at rest. Absolutely not the case now. Is the man of sin going to come and preach, 7 years covenant and then break it? It's not that. It's not the Israelites don't make a covenant with the man of sin. And there's nobody preaching peace and safety. It ain't gonna happen, okay? Gog and Magog is way down the road, not for now. It's a great falling away. How could Israel fall away when they haven't come back yet? Read Jeremiah 30 and then 31, and you'll see what Israel looks like when it comes back. They shall all know me from the least to the greatest. They shall have a heart of flesh. I will put the law in their inward parts. Another place somewhere it says, I'll put the law in their heart. They shall all know me from the least to the greatest. This is what it's going to be like. Because all Israel, the lost tribes and so forth, are going to see the Son and Son of Man and receive the everlasting life. Read, you got to, if you want to understand what's going to happen, you got to read Zechariah 12 a lot and get it down. And you got to stop listening to these characters with the buildings and the denominations. You got to read the Bible for yourself. There's no other way. Not listening to them. You're looking for shortcuts. And they know you're looking for shortcuts, and that's how they deceive you. So, okay, so please pray for Chief the dog again for more healing. Pray for my wife to be healed, and pray for me and my wife to be happy, healthy, and whole, and joy and peace. We're going to be getting some, what would you call it, social assistance from the government. Pray that we get that. Okay? So yeah, the offerings are so great here, I have to go to welfare. Now that my wife had that thing happen, so pray for that to go through, and pray for better videos, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and when I say that about the offerings, I'm not going after those of you that send offerings. I'm going after like the 98% or 99% or whatever it is that don't send offerings. Yet they come around to get fed, and they don't believe that they're supposed to give the carnal things if they receive the spiritual food. And they believe in muzzling the ox when he treadeth the grain. Okay? These people. But it's not going to wake them up. They're not going to wake up. Okay? So it's just the way it is. So pray that I get the social assistance stuff we're looking for. And pray for the peace of you. It's basically the government here is very socialized, and they send workers to your house to do things like the cleaning, the laundry, the cooking, and things of that nature to help you when you have an issue like what my wife went through. So that's what we're applying for, and probably will go through to some extent. I don't know how much help they'll give us and how many hours or what they'll do, but it should go through. We're going to find out soon enough, so pray for it. That's what it is. So, right now I'm picking up the slack because she can't do many things that she used to, and while I could handle it, I put in about 7, 8, or even 9 hours a day. It varies from day to day, doing the research for the live stream, then doing the live stream, and then doing the updates on Telegram during the day, and checking, making sure that I know what's going on. And, so on top of that, I have to take care of other chores now. Of course, my wife is still recovering from that thing. So that's what we're trying to get from them. So we'll do it. Notice we just hardly ever get people come here and go argue against me using scriptures. Once in a great while we get that and I deal with it. But what we got are people to just come in and insult, how old are you? You're a Jew, and it's these are the kind of people that follow Satan. They have no faith. They don't fear the Lord. They don't know anything. They just stumble around in darkness and think they're walking in light, And the outside of their cup is clean, but inside it's dark and filthy. What's the outside of their cup? They wear nice clothes, nice manners, good, they know how to flatter people and be social. That's the outside of the cup. Inside, they're mean and rotten. A wolf in sheep's clothing. They're full of hate. That's why they come around and they hate me, because they hate God. What did I ever do to them? Nothing. I'm God's messenger, so they hate me. That's how they are. That's the world. It's not going to be like that much longer, but that's what it is. Is Israel going to attack Iran? Likely. Is Israel going to attack Iraq? Very likely. America has no aircraft carrier group in the Middle East theater right now. The Harry Truman's chugging over here. It probably will take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, someplace in there, and they'll be here. And that's probably going to coincide with about the time when Israel will have Hezbollah whittled down to size, so they can't really do much in terms of missile and drone attacks against us, and that opens the door for Iran. But we're probably going to continue striking targets in Syria and Iraq before. So after Russia made all these threats, Ukraine launched another long-range missile into Russia to defy Putin. And let's see what happens. People are saying Putin gave a 24-hour warning. I don't know. I didn't find it. Maybe he did. I don't know. Putin's got a really big mouth, but remember, he did attack Ukraine. Ukraine didn't attack him. He attacked Ukraine. So he has the capability of going on the attack. And there's a lot of countries that are relatively defenseless against Russia, like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Denmark, Sweden, maybe Norway. There's some that have some capability, like Romania and Poland, that Putin would like to take a big bite out of, So let's see what happens. And I would not plan on Iran and North Korea and China taking it sitting down. Either they'll rush over to help Russia with weapons and soldiers and planes and boats or whatever, or they'll start attacking targets in their own area to draw down America and NATO's strength, making it easier for Putin. For Putin. So that's what I got, and I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And you might want to hit the thumbs up button, but many people don't. If you want to get updates from me from Israel and the Middle East when they happen quickly, you should subscribe, because I do at unexpected hours live stream updates when big stuff happens. But that's up to you. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out.